Hi, I am going to talk about a time that I acted rather impulsively, and it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to something that was going on. It was many, many years ago. I was in a car. I was driving. I had my two small boys with me. They were both in car seats yet, or at least one was. Anyway, and my husband was in the passenger seat because he was tired. We'd been in West Bend visiting with family that day, and it was dark and it was rainy, and I was driving along pretty content, and all of a sudden a bunny ran across the road, and I thought, oh no, I can't run over the bunny. I whipped that steering wheel to the side really quick so I'd avoid hitting that bunny, and my car went zoom, 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 and landed in the ditch on the other side of the road facing the wrong direction, and narrowly missed every tree there was a whole bunch of woods there, and the other side was kind of a ditch that dropped down. We probably would have rolled the car over had we gone that way. And I'm like, oh my, oh my, oh my. And we came to a stop, and I didn't hit the bunnies. I was so grateful for that. And my husband looked at me and he says, move over, I'm driving. So I'm like, I was trying to catch my breath. I was a little shook up. And I get out of the car, and he's like, rabbit. He gets in, and I'm like, put my seatbelt on, and I'm driving. And we were in silence for probably 2 miles when all of a sudden my oldest son, who was like 4 years old, Ethan at the time, said, we don't want a squished bunny, do we, Mommy? And I said, no, we don't. See, we don't want a squished bunny. But I did put my whole family at risk for a bunny. So that's my story.
Okay, you know.
Is it done?
No, it's still going. I'm still here.
Oh,
Has that ever happened to you again?
Yes. I still slam on the brakes for raccoon, a possum, anything, a bunny, but I guess I'm a little more wary of it.
You haven't spun the car and ended up.
I have not. No, I did get a raccoon last year. That was really upsetting.
Well, I can understand that.
But he came out of nowhere. He was the one acting impulsively.
Nice story. Nice story.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm going to share my impulsive story today. It's not going to be as funny as Sherry's, though, because it wasn't about a squished bunny. But
I didn't squish the bunny.
Oh yeah, that's right. You missed. You almost put your family at risk.
They were in car seats.
They in car
seatbelt.
So if this is, boy, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a little difficult to share because I was totally in the wrong. We had a teenager living with us, and we've had a history of taking in teenagers over our married life, and I guess I had gotten to a point where I was like burning out, I think is what you'd call it. The one teenager literally was, she knew how to push everybody's buttons to get exactly what she wanted, and she actually called me a wicked stepmother, and she was Cinderella. I lost it because I was running 3 jobs. We had taken her in when she didn't have a family who would take her, and I was exhausted, and I just was exhausted. And when I heard that she called me a wicked stepmother, I looked at my husband thinking he was going to be a little bit more supportive. Oops, silly me. Anyway, I'd taken her to counseling, and I'm sitting out in the waiting room. And you know, counselors, if you don't have a room that people in the hall can hear you, maybe you should consider looking at getting a different room or having people wait somewhere else. Because I'm sitting there in the waiting room and I'm hearing what a wicked person I am. And I'm supposed to listen to this. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I am burnt out, and I'm done playing the bad guy. And I got up and I left. I have a tendency to do that. I just get up and I left. I waited for her out in the car. Okay, didn't totally leave. She gets in the car and she goes, and why did you come out here? And I looked at her and I says, because I'm tired of being called a wicked stepmother and the counselor agreeing with you. And she says, well, if you would have been waiting a little longer, you would have heard the counselor turn it around. And I went, well, I guess I could have done that, but I'm tired of listening to your BS. So it was a knee-jerk reaction, but that knee-jerk reaction was also coming out of being exhausted. And I think maybe that's one of the things that maybe all of us should look at. How do we respond when we're exhausted and nobody is in your corner? So just a thought. Ideas? Questions?
Yeah, you should have stayed.
Oh, wise one. I know now.
It is hard to be diplomatic though when you're exhausted. It
Yeah.
really is.
And when you're always the bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So we absolve you.
We're on your side.
Oh, thank you.
Validate you.
Validate you.
Definitely. We'll give you a second chance.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary, and you probably are noticing something a little different about my story. First of all, my two partners aren't here with me. That's because the original recording of my story got lost somewhere. And rather than have Linda and Sherry come in, decided to do my story over again solo. Secondly, you'll notice the different background. That's because this is our new studio, hopefully our permanent home. So, without any further ado, here's my story of a knee-jerk reaction to a, well, if not a very large bee, at least a very angry bee. It was a warm day in the summer, and I was pulling weeds in a flower bed not far from the back door of our house, when something flew past my ear. It buzzed on the way, so I figured it was a bee, and instantly I reacted. I brushed past my ear with a handful of weeds. Now, I hadn't meant to hit the bee, but I suspect I had, at least with the weeds. And the bee, while it wasn't hurt, got angry. And it turned around, instead of heading for the flowers, it turned around and headed back for me. I figured it was probably heading to the weeds, so I dropped the weeds on the sidewalk and thinking it might head for the weeds instead of at me, but I was wrong. It didn't care about the weeds, it cared about getting back at me. So I got up off the sidewalk and I moved back, but it still kept coming for me. I figured the next best thing to do was to put a barrier between me and the bee. So I opened the back door as little as I can, as small as I can, to get back and get into the house. And it almost worked, except I didn't quite open the door far enough. And as I tried to sneak into the house, I caught my knee on the edge of an aluminum storage door. I hit my kneecap so hard, the pain went through my brain like lightning, and I collapsed onto the floor in agony. On top of that, when I looked up, I could see The bee had come into the house with me. My son heard me fall onto the floor and called from the other room, "Mom, are you okay?" But I was in such pain I couldn't even breathe, let alone call out an answer. After a minute or two, I was able to breathe and I called, "I'm okay, sort of, but bring me a fly swatter." My thought was revenge against the bee. The bee's thought by this time was just to get outside. It didn't want to be in the house, it wanted to be outside. Before my son could get the fly swatter and bring it to me, my husband had come home and opened the back door. The bee flew out. My son and husband helped me stand up and hobble into the kitchen. They got me some ice for my knee, which I was sure was shattered. A little while later, my husband took me to urgent care for an x-ray. Thankfully, my kneecap was not shattered, just a little bit bruised, as was my pride. I had to tell my story over and over, first to the nurse, then to the doctor, and then to the radiology technician who took my x-ray. They all wanted to know, how big was that bee? And to tell you the truth, well, it was pretty big, but it was also very angry. It was one of the angriest bees I had ever seen in my life. Now, I have to admit, if I had been calmer and just moved away and not reacted, not swung at it with that handful of weeds, the bee would have gone on happily into the flowers, and I could have moved to a different part of the flower bed to pull the weeds. We both would have been happier and a lot calmer. But then, I wouldn't have had this story to tell you, would I?
So with the knee-jerk reactions, Mary was so focused on her weeding and the bee was just going about its business. Sherry was focused on the road when the bunny decided to hop into view. And I was so focused on that yet again perceived that I was the problem. But we overcame the shame that we felt about that experience. And our question then is that we did learn something about ourselves. And with every experience in our lives, we should be learning something about ourselves. So our question to you is, do you remember a time when you had a knee-jerk reaction? And how did that pan out for you? Share your story, your comments. Even take a little thought and just ponder that. But please share with us on the comments section, and we look forward to reading about it. Thank you.
We're all beads on one string, every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string, we're one world. I touch, you touch, we feel so much. We hurt and we heal. We know love is real. You dream, well I dream. We plan, sometimes scheme. Oh, how we love to eat. And everyone has to sleep, 'cause we're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string, we're one world. You laugh, you cry, guess what? So do I. We cough and we sneeze into the same air. We all breathe. We trust, we give, and we die after we've lived. We win, sometimes we're gonna lose. We're wearing the same shoes. Oh, we're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string, we're one world. We hug, we need, we cut, and we bleed. Somehow we discover that we're so much like each other. Oh, I say yes we are, yes we are. We're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string, we're one world. We're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string, we're one world. Oh, we're all beads on one string, we're one world.